case you want to find out more about his company, which is called Shift Points, a consulting firm that is designed to make companies better, stronger, more effective, more productive, more successful. That's what he does with his consulting business. And Decide One Thing is a terrific book, which I read and I recommend it extremely highly. It's a wonderful book about how your company can be more successful by narrowing things down to one important thing.
That's right.
In your business and not being all over the place.
It's real simple. You have to be good at lots of things, but the way to win is to be great at one thing, and that's what the book's about.
And we've been giving some examples out that Dave had in his book about the companies like Apple and Nordstrom department stores and the giant retailer Walmart, and about how they zeroed on different aspects of their business, what they really wanted to be perceived as, and which is why they're leaders in their particular industries.
That's right, but it's not just for the big companies.
Yeah.
This works if you're a big company,
BTI
Walmart or
360
IBM,
is a good example.
a small to medium-sized company like BTI 360, or if you're a realtor running an individual real estate business and you're trying to differentiate yourself. As we talked about, there's 1,000 realtors in McLean and Great Falls alone. So if you're trying to create a real estate career, you have to differentiate yourself from those 999 other guys. And how are you going to do that? Well, our advice would be find something that you can use to differentiate yourself by becoming great. And that's how you're going to win.
Or like when people think of Coca-Cola, they think of a wonderful soft drink, probably the premier and or most original soft drink that's out there. So setting up a picture, if you were to attribute some kind of a category for Coca-Cola, what do you think it might be? The premier drink in the world, or
well, sure, they're the
most
biggest
famous drink in the world?
The interesting thing would be let's talk about the case of Red Bull, who started a company to compete with Coke. Well, how are you going to compete with Coke? You're going to find something that makes you different. So Red Bull, the little silver cans, half the size, all that caffeine and taurine and all the other things, and they marketed themselves as this extreme drink with extreme sports as their thing. You may remember the gentleman that went all the way into space and flew down wearing a Red Bull suit, and that's how they've differentiated themselves.
How about Lady Gaga? Now we get into the entertainment, but we've been talking about all kinds of different industries. The entertainment industry, who is more unique and different
That's right.
than Lady Gaga?
This is a great story. Stephanie Germanotta, a modestly talented, ambitious young girl in New York, completely unknown, trying to break into maybe the hardest business there is, the entertainment business.
And not the most beautiful girl in the world.
Well, and so well, I'll leave that to people to decide, but here's the thing. She was unknown and undifferentiated until she reinvented herself as Lady Gaga. And you may like her or not like her, but you have to give her credit. She sure is unique. And she's got 38 million Twitter followers and sold millions of records. And so it's a great case study. We talk about it as the first chapter in the book and use it as an example of you have to find a way to break through. And you break through by finding something that makes you unique and different, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and then you mentioned another, I thought, a very good example, and that is that if we look at the world population, we find that there are approximately 7 billion people in this world of ours that we live in. And you mentioned in your book that probably 99 9/10% of those 7 billion people are pretty much the same. And only 1/10% are different.
Well, that's exactly right.
How do you explain that?
That's DNA. That's what we know from our DNA, that human beings are 99.9% the same. Now, you and I have a lot in common. Went to the same school, grew up in the same place, worked in the same company for a while, but yet it's the 1/10% that makes us different, and you can tell we're different. And so this is often the case in companies also. It's the small things that make companies unique and different. As I say, every company, they have a website, they have a logo, they've got brochures, they got golf balls with their logo. That doesn't make them different. What makes them different is finding something that allows them to become great. And as we've talked about, it's hard to become great. Most companies are mediocre. Most of your viewers are working for companies that are mediocre at best and probably a little bit dysfunctional. And what those companies need is a sense of focus and clarity. And our book not only gives you the examples that we've talked about, from Lady Gaga to BMW to Ferrari and you name it, but we show you how to do it, how to go through the process of saying, okay, if I have to decide what I'm going to be great at, how do I decide? And that's what we teach you how to do.
Yeah. Now, I know that you're a great car guy, and you've been to some of those Indianapolis 500 car races, which take place around Memorial Weekend every year. And there was one particular incident that occurred where somebody who was looked like he was going to win that particular race, but pulled up short, and somebody else followed through and won the race because something happened. And there was a question of mixed signals that were given.
Sure. There's a chapter in the book called Mixed Signals. Yeah. And it tells the story of the 1997 Indianapolis 500. Yeah. So in lap 196, Tony Stewart hits the wall. The red caution, the yellow caution flags come out.
Everybody has to slow down.
The yellow lights come out. Yeah. Two and a half laps later, the race is going around under caution. Yeah. And what happens is the green flag comes out that would indicate the race is on. Yeah. But the lights around the track were still yellow, sending mixed signals. The green flag waving away, the yellow lights. So what do? Well, Arie Luyendyk saw the green flag, hits the gas, off he goes. Scott Goodyear was running in the second position, sees the yellow lights, and waits. Yeah. Okay, and the story of the Indianapolis 500 is that mixed signals cost Scott Goodyear the Indy 500. Yeah. And in the same way, organizations send mixed signals all the time. Our program here is called Communicating Today. And most of the organizations that we work with, when we get there, we see all these mixed signals. The job description says one thing, but the comp plan says another. The website says one thing, but the brochures say a different thing. They promise one thing in the sales proposal, but then they don't deliver it. All these mixed signals, they go together to drive organizational performance down and create a lot of dysfunctionality.
Yeah, Dave, and as you said, our program that we're appearing on tonight, Communicating Today, when I started this program, was all about how to improve interpersonal and world communications among peoples of the world, businesses, management, labor, the various races, the various sexes, all kinds of religions that don't seem to communicate with each other. And I thought there's one of the big problems we have in this world is people do not communicate with each other effectively. So I said, one day we're going to start a program here on Channel 10, which we did over 20 years ago, as I mentioned before, a long, long time ago, called Communicating Today. And I think what you're talking about, this mixed signals, is a question of poor communications.
Of course.
Companies do not communicate the proper message to the clientele, the potential customers that they'd like to serve, and people get different feedback and different impressions of what the message is that's supposed to be communicated. And I think, in other words, another phrase that you have in your book, again, ladies and gentlemen, the book is called Decide One Thing, a terrific book, and he mentions in there something called clarity defeats anxiety. So again, we're talking about communication. We're talking about make your message as clear and as simple as you possibly can. Narrow it down to one thing.
That's right.
One important thing.
That's right. Decide what you're going to be great at.
Yeah.
It gives you a differentiating competitive advantage. And then we advise the executive team to speak with one voice and to deliver one message. And this is what employees need. Above all, what they need, especially in these turbulent times, they need clarity. Employees need to know what's important and what's not important. Yeah. Of all the things that we're doing, what's the most important things to do? And how are we going to win? And what we've found is the idea of saying, as a company or as an organization or as a church or whatever we are, we're going to find this one thing to be great at. It provides an inspiring and motivating level of clarity to people.
And when you and I worked at IBM, I remember there was one phrase that they had, one cliche that used to say, it was called the KISS formula, K-I-S-S, keep it simple, stupid. So that's so important. And what we're talking about on Communicating Today on our show and your book, Decide One Thing, is all about clarity, eliminates and defeats anxiety. I just got the 2-minute warning, David, believe it or not. I guess we ought to find out, where can we get this fantastic book that you wrote?
Well, of course, you can get it on Amazon. We have lots of other tools on our website, which, as you've said, is shiftpoints.com. We've got a weekly email that people can subscribe to that teaches them how to do this Decide One Thing, Align Everything, Win process that we have, and the book's on Amazon.
Yeah, that's terrific. David, I really appreciate your coming on our program. You know, in the football games, the NFL, when the Redskins are playing the Cowboys or the Giants, At the 2-minute warning, the referee comes out and he waves his red flags and he blows his whistle and he says, "Gentlemen, the game is almost over, so our show is getting close to the ending point. We want to thank you so much for being on our program. And ladies and gentlemen, let me go back to the camera for a second and tell you who our guest has been for this program. His name is Dave Ramos, who is the CEO of a wonderful consulting firm called Shift Points Incorporated. They are a consulting firm that helps companies to decide who they are and what they should be, and to narrow it down to a focus of what that company represents and how they can be more successful, and that sort of thing is what his consulting company does. And based on that, he wrote this terrific book, which I have right here in front of me, called Decide One Thing. Terrific book. Read it in a couple of nights, a couple of hours. I strongly encourage you and recommend the book very highly. And Dave, again, thanks for coming on all the way from Great Falls, Virginia, where I live also, which we'll go home in the same direction, I guess, before the night is over. And congratulations on a wonderful book.
Thank you.
Look forward to your next book again, which the title of which is going to be?
It's called Drive One Direction, and it's about creating alignment.
Okay, alignment, how to get all the people together on the same page.
That's right.
Moving in the same direction.
You bet.
Sounds like a terrific book. Maybe we can have you come back on again. We can
I'd
talk
love
about
to.
that book when it
Thank
comes
you.
out sometime, I guess, in 2014. And other than that, I want to thank you again. I'm getting the stretch signal from my good friend Peter, and he says that we have another minute or so, I guess, that we have to go. We found out where we can get the book, Amazon.com. Are they in any of the bookstores at this point?
Generally not, but Amazon, everything's on Amazon, or iTunes, it's available as an iBook on the Apple format
And they have
whatnot.
this abbreviated thing where you can get, they have a name for that, it comes on some kind of a console.
An ebook. You can
e-book.
purchase the book as an ebook. As you see, it's in hardback on Amazon. There's an ebook, iTunes, Amazon, etc. And I just want to thank you for your time and congratulate you on your 600 and some shows. And it's been a great privilege for me to be part of it.
Well, thank you very much again, Dave. Best of luck on the book. And ladies and gentlemen, as I said before, this is a terrific book. Again, we've been showing pictures of the cover of the book on your TV screen or where you're watching in your office or at home. Again, Decide One Thing is the title of it. And again, as Dave has mentioned several times during the course of the program, it's all about deciding on one thing for your business so you can be more successful. Again, thank you so much for watching. Come back and see us again next week. And we always go out by saying our famous cliche, keep on communicating for success and deciding one thing. We'll see you all next week, and thank you so much, Dave, again for being on our show.
Thank you.
Come back and see us again sometime.